couple of common questions.
Sure.
While we're at it, while we've got the people watching.
A FAQ.
A what?
A frequently asked
Sounds
questions.
rude.
How do you say it? A FAQ? FAQ? FAQ. FAQ.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Yeah, cool. Let's talk about tyres first. A lot of people saying, did you change your tyres? In the video, we spoke about what we did with the rear, widened the rim so we could put fatter tyres. We also did change the tyres on the front, the best tyres that we could find that would fit on the front of that car.
On that size. And also the suspension, lots of questions about the suspension. Obviously when you're drag racing, you can tune the suspension so you don't get too much weight transfer. You can get into all that nerdy stuff. We didn't have time with this build to do all that kind of stuff. All we did was just lower it, just to get it close to the ground so that when it did drop, it wasn't kind of like bouncing around like an old pogo stick.
Similar thing with the brakes. One of the things that we thought is like, hey, do we need to do brakes? Mike had said, unlike a track car where you're kind of speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, you've just got to slow down from one run and then you drive back slowly. So it wasn't actually needed for this in terms of budget and timing to upgrade the brakes.
So it got new pads in the front and just adjusted all around and checked, and Mike said, yeah, it'll do for this. But if you're going to be doing 9s, which could happen one day, you need to do something about the brakes. So yeah.
Yeah, and same thing goes for the roll cage, because in my mind originally I was like, do the brakes, do the suspension, do the roll cage, and then when I was chatting with him, and you know, he does have a 9-second Volkswagen, he was like, you don't actually need that stuff for what you guys are doing. So yeah, but that is something that we can look at doing later on. And while we're talking about that, what we might do later on, there were some questions about the forged internals of the engine as well, particularly that we had to tune the car down on the day. We built the engine so that it could handle way more than what we were actually throwing at it, and it can handle ridiculous amounts of power. Also worth mentioning as well that the power that we're showing is power at the wheels, not power at the engine. It does still seem to be confusing a lot of you in the comments. It's definitely worth, just for your own education, just Google the difference between power at the wheels and power at the engine, because they're two very, very different things.
And a lot of manufacturers quote power at the engine. You go, oh, my car's got 300 horsepower at the wheels. It's going to be a slightly different story.
Horsepower, Martin.
Horsepower, yeah.
Horsepower.
Kilowatts, horsepower, just look it up. It's easy conversion, 1.3 or 0.7.
What are horsepowers, Martin? That was another question. Why do we use kilowatts? Because Australia? Actually, because all of the world. Isn't it? Except
a lot of the world, and it's also just what you're used to. You know what it's like. The same for the people who are used to talking in horsepower. I don't know what, if my car's got 380 horsepower, what that means. I can compare it to other cars I've had. This has always been in kilowatts. Just the way it is, metric, imperial, whatever.
Yeah, it's the way it is in Australia. It's the ever ongoing argument. We're Australian, so some people have said to us, change. You should do horsepowers. Some people have said, we hate your UK accent.
Another point on the engine, yes, you can get 200 kilowatts out of a stock EJ25, a stock one, that's true. That's if you own a stock one. We own an exploded EJ25, you saw the piston fall out of it. So that was more of a base to work with. So rather than trying to find one that with unknown, if you go and buy a second-hand one, you don't know what condition it's in, maybe you get one run at the drags and it blows up or something like that. We wanted to go from scratch and also to show something new, which was building an engine.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of doing things new, some people have said, why didn't you do like 5 or 10 episodes like you did with Super Grants? The idea of this was to make one video, and when we're having a chat with Subway and they're like, we want to help you do this crazy video, it was about doing one video. We shot, I think it was about 50 hours worth of footage all up, and all of that had to be condensed down into 45 minutes. It was around between 40 and 50 minutes, because that's what a TV hour is. Once they add all the ads, that turns into an hour. So as a filmmaker, it's actually a harder thing to do, to aggregate all the best footage and cut that down into something that makes sense in a short amount of time than just uploading really long shots of everything. So that was a tricky thing to do, but that's why it was just one episode. We appreciated that some people were probably like, we want more details about this specific thing. Other people don't want that. I mean, it's interesting that in the few days that it's been up, it's been viewed, you know, over 1 million times. So it's the most popular video that we've ever done in that metric. But at the same time, I agree, there's probably space for more detail, but that's not what this video was about. This video was just about getting a car, trying to make it look as stock as possible and trying to make it go really, really fast.
And there are going to be technical, nerdy, detailed videos on other cars in the future. It's just what we kind of like doing, a bit of everything. Another really common question, the transmission. What did we do with that? So that's a Beetle transmission. One of the things we're going for with this build was to keep the car looking as stock as possible. We say that fairly early on.
Which is what a sleeper is. Heaps of people said,
yeah.
What is a sleeper? A sleeper is a car that looks like something you don't expect to wake up and go fast.
To be fast. So we did use a Beetle box, but we used a rebuilt one. So Mike had an old Beetle case there, and he had to get some gears sent over, like specially made, strengthened gears from the US, and he got them sent over and he put them together like at night when we weren't there.
So it was a fully rebuilt gearbox, using strengthened parts from the States.
Yes, it's probably even being stressed as it is. Mike has a lot of experience with drag racing with his Carmen gear that does low 9s or high 8s. And a lot of the kind of parts and process that he went through was stuff that he has done and tested himself. And that gearbox combination, he reckons is good for, the kind of power we're chasing. And it did hold up. It was the clutch that let us down. And that car, I will tell you, is really hard to drive fast.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a quick chat about that quickly as well, because I think the car being hard to drive, in a sense, goes hand in hand with also having limited time to film on the day.
Well, untested, that those drags was its test again because of limited time. But hard to drive. I did touch on it in the video, but basically with the clutch, because it is quite small, it's got a lot of clamp pressure on it, but it's small, so you can't. With Super Gramps, for example, really big, really meaty clutch, you can just dump it and it will go a limited number of times. With the Beetle, if you dump it, the clutch will spin. So even though the car is light and you kind of get it off the line, to keep it on song, you've got to change gears really slowly, let it settle in, get off the clutch, make sure it's clamped down, and then you can feed the power on again. So what we actually had to do in the end, we said we turned the power down. A lot of that was to do with the fact that because it's got an electronic throttle, we had to turn the pedal down. So if you put 100% throttle on that engine, it's just going to spin. It's going to either spin the wheel or spin the clutch, or we can't do both. But yeah, by turning the pedal down, it means that it was actually much more drivable. So when I say it's hard to drive, in its original form, in its first few runs, it was just, because when you're going down a drag strip, the last thing you're thinking about is pulling your foot off the accelerator.
Yeah.
So we had to do that electronically to make it possible.
And I think one of the adjustments they were making with the Haltech Elite was in terms of it, instead of the pedal being 100%, altering the percentage of that so that when the pedal is all the way down to the floor, it's only on 50% or 60%. Do you remember what it was in the end?
Yeah, we turned it down to like 50% or 60%.
Yeah, which means that when the pedal is full to the floor, the ECU is saying, hey, it's only 50% of the way down, and that's why the car still has so much more potential, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Mad. A lot of fun. That was a mad race, and let me apologise for my launch in Super Gramps.
It wasn't that bad. From someone who, like, you launched it like you would launch a Sylvia. Which is like feathering the clutch because you don't have grip. Dude, you got gripping ramps.
Yeah, I know. So I know I could have like dumped it. I'm just not used to it, Like I've driven rear wheel drive cars there, and that is the first time I've driven Super Gramps on the track. I don't want to break your stuff.
Do you know what was mad though? And you can see it in the camera that's hanging over the dash. You can see a light at the bottom of the screen. That's the red line. That's the shift light.
Yeah.
And you hit it every time. You weren't even looking, dude.
Oh, thanks,
You're
man.
looking out the window at me, and this thing's going, oh, change gears.
Thanks, man. Anyway, I mean, look. I'm just going to say it now. Both cars have way more potential than what these fools gave them. Not that that's what it's all about, but I'm just saying. It's
considering that we had 20 minutes in a drag strip and hundreds of people looking at us being like, get out of the way!
And what was funny with the Super Gramps, we had the guy there who was like the marshal, who was like, you're finished, like that's done. And we're like, we've got to do this other race. And he's like, no. And we're like, come on, man, one more race. So we had one chance at it, one chance.
No pressure.
No, and he's like, get out. So that's what happened. That's how it went down. Other question, everybody was asking about the music. It's all listed in the description of the original video. The times and the names, they're all there. That's about it, I think, Martin. That's about it. All the main questions.
Yep, lots of more awesome videos and projects happening.
So good to have it
as
done,
always.
though.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
And really exciting to think about what we're going to do with it next. What's going to happen. There's a few other mad little things happening. Everyone wants to know what's happening with Super Gramps, Martin.
Chasing more power, of course, because the car looks mad. I mean, I was watching this video back and going, oh, that looks so good. It just needs more power. Obviously, it's going a little bit slower now. It's got a full interior. It's a bit heavier. It's a much nicer car to drive overall.
Not pulling 11s anymore, is it?
Probably not. No, it'd be in the 12s for the couple of times I've run it. So just chasing more power, but there's a couple of limitations with the engine that it's got currently. So, end of this year into next year, we'll be looking at addressing that.
Yep. Maybe there'll be a formidable opponent for Super Gramps, Martin.
You never know. Maybe it needs a formidable opponent.
I think it does. Anyway, so there it is. That is Mighty Car Mods. Of course, you can follow us on the Faceballs, facebook.com/Mighty Car Mods. Thanks for watching our Mad Beetle episode. That's it, man. That's it. I'm going to go get some mad falafel.
Really?
Yeah. Falafel, barbecue sauce, hummus.
Barbecue sauce?
Yeah.
I think I want to get a donut.